Beelzebub appears to not just be a prince of gluttony, but potentially a member of the Ars Goetia, and with that in mind, some commenters have been asking that I do a Beelzebub versus Asmodeus video, discussing which one is more powerful. We of course know of two forms of nobility in the Helluverse, the first being the Seven Princes of Hell, and the second being the Ars Goetia. These are both based on real-life writings on demonology that were hundreds of years apart, and like with a lot of classifications of demons, they share some names in common. Asmodeus was the first prince that we actually got to see in real full animated motion in the Helluverse, though we were of course very well acquainted with Lucifer at this point, and saw depictions of Mammon as well on money. Asmodeus appears as one of the seven princes in the Peter Binsfeld classification of demons, but as a king in the Ars Goetia, with there being 71 other demons alongside and beneath him. In the Season 2 premiere, we got to meet another king in the Ars Goetia, Paimon, who is the father of Stolas and seemingly other unknown members of the Ars Goetia. Now, the name Beelzebub itself is not listed in the Ars Goetia, but instead it lists Baal. Baal was originally a name used for the chief god in various mythologies who would be demonized in Jewish and Christian mythology. Beelzebub comes from Baal or Baal, which means lord, and thus Beelzebub means lord of the flies. I had been theorizing for a while now that this etymological connection in the names would lead to Baal and Beelzebub being the same entity in the Helluverse, giving her two royal titles just like Asmodeus. One fan noticed that the seal of Beelzebub used in the show was similar to the one used for Baal in the Ars Goetia, but with slightly different proportions. I had not realized that they were two different seals altogether, as when researching the Beelzebub seals, I mostly found radically different seals that looked nothing like Beelzebub's in the show. Because of that, I mistakenly thought that Beelzebub was confirmed to be Baal. This other seal could have been used for Beelzebub without worry about its similarity to Baal's seal, so it still seems to imply that the crew chose this seal that closely resembled Baal's so that we would make the connection. This would also explain why she is referred to as Queen Beelze in the credits as opposed to Princess Beelze, though some fans have said that the seven princes have never been explicitly called the princes within the show and may all have a title of king or queen like Asmodeus and Beelze have. With this theory in mind, let's discuss which one is potentially more powerful than the other and why. The first thing to consider is how much power they have over Hell as a whole, and a lot of that comes down to the natives they rule over in each ring. Succubus are a species that I believe to have evolved their sexiness to help with their hunting methods. While succubus probably subsist off of Hell's food now, they are known for sucking on the sexual energy of humans and are designed like sexy vampires in the show with their bat-like qualities. While they do seem to have a horrifying form they take when kissing Moxie in episode 3, I don't imagine them to be nearly as powerful as the native species to the Gluttony Ring, which appears to be the Hellhounds. A lot of native species in Hell find some way to help with the conquering of Earth to make things worse for humans and inspire sin. Succubus are of course sent up to seduce humans, and Hellhounds in real-life lore are said to come up to hunt humans and drag them to Hell. This is why in episode 3 we can see Luna using special powers to let her track down specific humans that she is looking for. Hellhounds, like imps, are evolved more so for violence than the succubus and incubus of the Lust Ring, and in terms of actual power, they wouldn't stand a chance against an army of Hellhounds, I think, especially since they seem to breed at a higher rate than the other demons do. While imps are used mostly in wars, I feel like Hellhounds are just as useful in battle, with them really being used for similar but more specialized missions. While we mostly see them as party animals, I imagine they could stand up not just to an army of succubus, but probably also an army of imps. There's a reason why they are also used as bodyguards, and why Blitz even whistles for Luna in episode 5 when he and Moxie are in danger. Then of course there is the actual power that these princes wield in terms of their value to Hell. Wrath is known as the place where all of the food for Hell is farmed, but Gluttony provides booze and a trashy and cheap repackaging of Wrath's food production for everyone in Hell to feast on. This is most evident through Bees Eats, an app on Blitz's phone which indicates Beelzebub has control over the fast food industry of Hell. Neither is particularly as powerful as Wrath in that regard, as Wrath would have the power to stop producing food if they wanted to go on strike, but the imps are implied to be too ignorant to do that for even reasonable changes to their lifestyle. But at the end of the day, Beelze seems to have more control than Asmodeus over Hell with its food production and distribution ventures, in addition to probably other gluttonous exports such as demonic hallucinogenics like the weird cotton candy she feeds the Hellhounds. Asmodeus could go on strike and people would just have fewer nightclubs to travel out to, one less vacation destination on a special occasion trip. And even if the Lust Ring's nightclub districts shut down entirely, there's still an active nightlife in the Pride Ring where sinners such as Angel perform in Hazbin Hotel. Then of course comes physical power. Asmodeus has a miniature form that many fans noticed looks a lot like Valentino. This implies that, as the embodiment of lust, a demon with a lustful soul would be more likely to manifest with features similar to Asmodeus. And the same can really be true of all the sinners. We may find once Hazbin Hotel airs that there is a new class of sinners in the background that have a lot more resemblance to an existing prince or other species native to Hell. These sinners would have no direct relation to either the prince or species, but rather their form would be a natural reflection of their soul and its sins, making them look like a prince in subtle ways. Asmodeus' giant form appears to be his favorite, likely seeing it as part of what makes him so sexy. He doesn't want to hide his giant beast mode that the other demons seem to keep contained. Beelze, on the other hand, seems desperate to maintain her compact form that we see her in the majority of the time, making her not look all that different from the native Hellhounds of the Gluttony Ring. Her giant form is more like Stolas, something that is pulled out when she needs to be fierce and aggressive, or even slips out by accident when she is just made angry. Luna really angered Beelze, but she showed real concern about the outburst she had afterwards. She also has what looks like serious concern for how people are doing at her party, saying she can taste the mood rather frequently. While this makes her seem very empathetic, she also emphasizes that she needs the people there to keep making her honey. This may just be the literal trade-off of her throwing parties that the Hellhounds go to after a long day of low-paid labor, but other fans believe that the honey itself is influenced by the mood of the Hellhounds, such as at the party. Beelze thus seems to need this honey, which is turned into Beelze juice, in order to maintain her good mood. This helps Beelze maintain her simple and compact form. On earthly animals, it has the opposite effect, turning a little fish into a giant monstrosity. All of this is to say that Beelze is naturally a lot more wild and animalistic than a prince like Asmodeus, much like the natives to her ring. Beelze, like the Hellhounds, just seems like she was designed to be much more powerful than Asmodeus was with whatever his origin is. Of course, Asmodeus may have an even bigger and more fierce form than the one we see in the show, with princes having different levels of compactness as opposed to just one compact and one big form, but even then, I just feel that Beelzebub has the natural advantage with her animalistic anger than Asmodeus has here. Of course, Asmodeus could use that to his advantage, and anything he can do to sabotage her honey production could lead to Beelzebub going so wild that she is out of control and can't properly do anything. It paints the picture that she's a very complex person who wants to be good, but is too naturally powerful for that intention to win, without massive suppression that comes with a gluttonous addiction to mind-altering honey. Finally, I think it's important to remember that Asmodeus is supposed to be the embodiment of lust, but in no way is he hotter than Beelzebub. I'm not saying that Asmodeus has to be the sexiest thing ever because he is the Prince of Lust, but if we're talking power levels, I think Asmodeus is really afraid that Beelzebub is going to show up one day and take all the attention from him at his own club. Asmodeus isn't even on Beelzebub's radar when she starts simping over other princes. She goes straight to Satan when he takes his shirt off, and he isn't even a Goetia member, so that's kind of really bad development for Asmodeus, who wasn't even on her mind. But what do you guys think? Let me know who is hotter or who would win in a fight in the comments down below. Just make sure you clarify which comments are about what. See you guys next time.